Millions of people who died or were displaced due to wars throughout history would agree today that war is never the solution. Still, the world again stands on the brink of another global catastrophe in the shape of the Russian-Ukraine war. Countries have chosen sides, but among everyone suffering are the athletes as well. Various international sporting platforms had imposed a ban on Russian and Belarusian athletes, and here's what's been happening since then. To begin, Russian athletes still face heat from various international sporting events. First, it was COVID-19 which kept both the players and spectators from the arena. After 2 long, excruciating years, it was finally time to welcome all the postponed international sporting events. But to everyone's dismay, the Russian-Ukraine war broke out the moment everyone thought that the world was finally moving on. The world's still dealing with the ripples created globally because of the war, but the Russian and Belarusian athletes are facing the heat head-on. The International Skating Union was supposed to hold its Congress in 2018 at the Hilton Phuket Arcadia Resort and Spa, but due to the pandemic, it was postponed for almost 2 years. Instead of having cheers across the board, Russian and Belarusian athletes await the decision of Congress or the Council regarding their ban. The ISU has recently agreed to extend the ban on the athletes from its competitions until the higher-ups overturn it. The union banned the participants, the Figure Skating Federation of Russia, the Skating Union of Belarus, and the Russian Skating Union from all ISU competitions back in March until further notice due to the war. According to a report by TASS, an official Russian state news agency, the Director General of ISU said that the suspension would be valid until Congress or the Council takes a special decision regarding the matter. This means that, as of now, the ban on Russian and Belarusian athletes has been extended as voted by the ISU members. The ban will not be lifted until Congress makes a decision to overturn it. The 58th International Skating Union Congress took place in Phuket, Thailand, while additional voting for choosing office holders was also done in the session. The ban was imposed in regard to speed skating, short-track speed skating, and figure skating competitions. Next up, the ISU wants to extend the ban on Russian and Belarusian participants. The ISU barred all participants from Russia and Belarus from participating in any international competition on March 1st. Not only that, but Russia was scheduled to host this year's ISU Figure Skating Grand Prix in November, which for obvious reasons won't happen now. The Council canceled Russia's stage of the 2022-2023 ISU event in April, and now sources report that the organization wants to further extend the ban on the players. Looking at the global unrest, the International Olympic Committee also recommended that all international sports federations bar Russian athletes from participating due to the Russian-Ukraine war. Besides extending the suspension, another urgent matter was presented in front of the Council, which was to impose protective measures to ensure the organization's ability to act within well-defined limits in case of an extraordinary event. Now, what are these extraordinary events? These events cover things like civil unrest, riot, war, strikes, epidemics, terrorism, and chemical contamination. This urgent matter would have enabled the ISU to temporarily suspend members or officials representing countries that have contributed or are directly involved in an extraordinary event. The matter of giving ISU the power to take measures as they seem fit in the light of the extraordinary events was added to the statutes after a council meeting that happened in April. If the motion had passed, yes, it didn't receive the majority of the vote. It could have empowered ISU to further impose various bans and restrictions on Russian athletes amidst the war conflict. But, in a surprising turn of events, only 31 members voted against the motion, while 13 abstained from it, which meant that the motion lacked 2/3 of the majority for it to pass. Urgent matters presented in the Congress require a 4/5 majority to certify them as an urgent business in the meetings. And now, the International Skating Union voted against the age limit for elections. Russia's taking heavy fire from all sides and from all departments. Currently, Russian athletes face an indefinite ban from various international competitions and platforms. The recent ISU Congress has also decided to extend the ban, but Russians were looking to survive another vote, which they unfortunately didn't. The Russian and Belarusian officials wanted to pass a motion that would raise the age limit for candidates holding office. The age limit for standing for elected roles at the International Skating Union is currently 75, which a few members wanted to be raised to 80. Alexander Lakernik, who has served on the council since 2016, is 77 years old and the most senior Russian official at the ISU. Alexander, who was the first vice president of the ISU, won't be able to stand for re-election because the proposal was rejected by the council. Member federations from Lithuania, Estonia, and Latvia submitted a proposal to raise the age limit in light of having more experienced members to continue their activities. However, the proposal failed to gain the majority vote as 77 members voted against it. Lakernik hoped to stand again for re-election, but lost the chance as the proposal only managed to gain the favor of 38 members. But luckily for Russia, a further 5 officials will run for elections, which would be a tough race considering that both Russia and Belarus had to survive one motion after the other in this year's ISU Congress. Next, in related news, news. The IOC defends its ban on Russia. Russia was bound to face opposition from the entire world on account of its war against Ukraine. Whatever the reasons may be, most of the world has chosen to show a strong reaction against the country, and that's where the popularity of banning athletes comes from. Many people may not agree to punish the citizens for the decisions of their leaders, but the world has chosen to do so, and so does the IOC. The International Olympic Committee continues to claim that the ban is to protect the athletes rather than to punish them. IOC's president says that the Russian officials and athletes are being protected through the ban on international sports. Bach told IOC members that these are protective measures rather than sanctions for safeguarding the integrity of these competitions. Let's not forget that almost all international sporting bodies followed the IOC's recommendations, and they started pulling away from Russian athletes and teams almost immediately. Bach also advised sporting federations to relocate events that were meant to happen in Russia and further defended the IOC's stance on the ban. He added that due to deep anti-Belarusian and anti-Russian sentiments in many countries due to the invasion, the safety of the Russian athletes and officials could not be guaranteed. However, many asked the question of why many countries who have previously waged wars and genocides did not face the same isolation the world is showing towards Russia today. And now, track and field championships deprive Russian athletes of participation. Ban after ban after ban. Russian athletes can't seem to have any good news at all these days. After the Olympics, football and skating, the latest sport to pull away from Belarusian and Russian athletes are track and field. The championship is supposed to take place in the United States next month and will not feature Russian athletes. The World Championships are the largest sporting event after the Winter Olympics and Paralympics, which were supposed to be held back in August 2021. The World Athletics confirmed to the Associated Press that the ban imposed in March will continue until an unexpected end to the Ukraine war. Belarus somewhat gave its own stance on the ban and said that all officials, athletes, and support personnel would be excluded from all World Athletics series for the foreseeable future. Only a small number of major sports competitions have allowed Russian athletes to participate under strict conditions. One of them includes signing a document that forbids them to publicly support the invasion. World Athletics surprisingly voted to extend Russia's ban in November from track and field for 7 years in a row due to the country's state-sponsored doping program. Finally, China joins in on the Russian Women's Handball Super League. While there's no definite understanding of global politics, there's no doubt that things are rapidly moving in various directions after the Ukraine invasion. For instance, China and Russia have been strengthening their ties, including the former even participating in Russia's Women's Handball Super League to highlight their support and political ties. The Chinese team will face sides from across Russia and play their home matches in Moscow. After Russia's and Belarus's outcast from almost all major international sporting events, this comes like a breath of relief for Russian sports officials. The Chinese players will represent a team named Gold Hand United and will be competing alongside Russia on the handball field. Sergei Shishkarev, president of the Russian Handball Federation, stated that they discussed the possibility with the head of the Chinese Handball Association of holding a joint bid to stage the World Women's Handball Championship in the coming years. Well, until the war matter is resolved, things in the Russian sporting world will remain uncertain. That's a wrap for this video. What are your views about the world's reaction to the Russia-Ukraine war? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.